a second to keep that up until I finish saying that. I'm just going to... Yeah? Okay, just do your best. Good afternoon, BlizzCon. The Blizzard Cinematic StarCraft 2 panel will now begin.
Clicker.
Oh, I don't have a clicker either. Anybody?
Awesome. All right. All right.
Does anybody out there have the PowerPoint remote control?
Anybody? Hey, Phil, clicker.
Robo clicker.
We could just talk, but it wouldn't be very interesting.
Wow, such an echo on this. Unreal. Hello, hello, hello. BlizzCon.
Great acoustics, dude. Sing us a little something.
Who?
Nick.
There it comes.
Actually, I don't know.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're ready. Welcome, everyone. Well, first of all, welcome to BlizzCon. And more specifically, welcome to the StarCraft 2 Cinematics panel. My name is Scott Goffman. I am the in-game cinematics supervisor for Blizzard, and we're going to talk about how we made some of the cinematics for StarCraft. So, first of all, you all know that StarCraft is a very rich universe. There's a lot of characters. All of them have a lot of depth. They all have their own stories. And we knew when we started working on StarCraft 2 that we wanted to be able to tell a lot more of those stories through movies than we had in the past. Now, the biggest moments, the most epic moments, we would save for the pre-rendered cinematics that Blizzard is so well known for. But we wanted to be able to fill in those stories with another solution that we could produce more of. And that's why we decided to form an in-game cinematics team. And we use those in-game cinematics to tell most of the character story, to develop the arc of StarCraft 2. Now, we did a StarCraft 2 pre-rendered panel last year, so we're going to devote this one to in-game cinematics. So if you came expecting to see a lot of pre-rendered stuff, prepare for disappointment. But if you do want to see more pre-rendered talk, go to the Cataclysm panel tomorrow, and the pre-rendered cinematics team will be talking there. But this panel is all about in-game cinematics. So next to me is Shimon Cohen, the in-game modeling supervisor.
What up?
Next to him is James McCoy, the animation supervisor for cinematics. He has fans. And on the end, the tall, quiet guy is Nick Carpenter, cinematics director. So first of all, what are in-game cinematics? Not everybody's familiar with the term. In a nutshell, they are movies made using the game engine to draw the frames of the movie. We play things back in real time. Those of you who are familiar with Blizzard Cinematics, you're used to seeing our pre-rendered movies, because that was everything that we did up until StarCraft 2. What we do, the in-game cinematics team, is very similar, but for pre-rendered, every frame is calculated by computer, takes anywhere from 10 minutes to 10 hours, maybe 10 days in a really bad situation. The work that we do, every frame has to be drawn in 1/30th of a second. It has to play back at 30 frames per second in real time, just like the game itself. So the trade-off is we get very high speed, we can work very quickly, but we sacrifice some quality. We can develop a lot more movies, but they don't look quite as good as the pre-rendered movies. Now, just like pre-rendered, a lot of our process is the same. We do storyboards, we create animatics from those storyboards, we paint concepts, we build models, we animate them, we light them, and we do special effects. Where we differ is that when it comes time to render it, we use the same graphics hardware and software as the game team, the same tools, the same development pipeline, and the same features as the game does. Now, some people hearing that ask, isn't that machinima? Yes and no. Machinima, specifically, is where you take all the existing assets that are already in the game, the units that you're used to seeing in the game, and the same animations that you're used to seeing, and editing them together in a way to tell a story. What we do is a little bit different. We do everything from scratch. We animate all of our characters from scratch. We animate to the camera, and we basically animate it just like a pre-rendered cinematic, rather than using game animations. We gain some of the same advantages that machinima has. We get faster iteration time. We can change something and see that change almost immediately. We can use the game assets where we want to. If there's a model or a prop, a set from the game that we want to use, we can grab that and throw it into a movie. But there are some trade-offs. So a lot of in-game cinematics that you've probably seen are done in first-person shooter games, and there's a reason for that. When you make a first-person shooter, a lot of the work that you do, you're building interior sets, you're making characters that are going to be viewed from up close. Those work very well for in-game cinematics. They're kind of designed to be seen in the same way that they would be seen in a movie. In a real-time strategy game, that is not at all the case. For an RTS, just like any game, you develop your engine technology and your rendering technology. You create your art direction and your design, all based around what the game needs, not what the movies need, because it's gameplay first, right? So there are some trade-offs that we have to make when doing an RTS. First of all, technical features. There are engine features that when you're making a game that's only viewed from a camera that's 1.5 miles up in the air, looking down, you don't ever have to worry about certain things. For example, indoor lighting. If you guys have played StarCraft 2, you'll notice a very consistent theme with the levels. They're all outdoors. So you've got your sun, nice big directional light coming down from above, a couple of fill lights and ambient light to fill that in. That's all you really need. Maybe a few point lights here and there, but they aren't critical. But when we're making these cinematics, they mostly take place indoors, and we want to be able to create a believable environment with believable lighting for the characters to sit in. So this is an example going back and forth between what if we just use directional lighting versus using real indoor lighting, where the jukebox is casting a little bit of light onto the pole next to it. The TV has a nice glow that bounces off of Rainer's head. Fog is another thing that you don't need when you're looking straight down at the world. When you drop your camera down and you're looking out into the world, there's always a little bit of haze in the air. Even if it's just a very subtle effect, it's there and your eye picks up on it. So here's an example of the Char battlefield with and without fog. It's not drastic, but it really helps sell the depth of the scene. Depth of field is another one. There it is. Depth of field is another one that we rely on very heavily for cinematics. It's a very subtle effect, and I mean, if you don't watch carefully, you may not even notice, but we use it to bring the sets to life. We force the character's eye to where we want them to look. We don't want them looking in the wrong depth. And it also helps hide problems in the background art, which, when we're making movies very quickly, we can hide a lot of flaws that way. So the result of this is that the Game Engine team got to spend a lot of extra time adding features just for us that they wouldn't have needed otherwise. But in the end, we got pretty much everything we asked for. Now, like the technology, though, art styles and the assets for a real-time strategy game are designed to look good from this God's eye view that you see in the game. So, for example, Tychus looks great from 1.5 miles up, but if you drop the camera down and look at him up close, this is Tychus Findlay from the game, he doesn't hold up for cinematics. He looks great on the battlefield, and he serves a gameplay purpose that he's immediately recognizable. You know that character is Tychus Findlay. But we need a lot more detail and a lot more subtlety if we actually want to make him a real character and tell a story around him. So we make new assets. Here's our Tychus Findlay asset. He wouldn't work well at all as a game character because he has too much detail that would disappear when you pull the camera out really far. But from our views, we want to get up close on his face, he has the expressions, he has the emotions, and we can actually make him act.